Welcome everybody. A live webinar Q&A with Candida Support and co-founder Jim White, co-founder of Candida Support. Jim, how are you doing today?
Great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you are here, and I am here in California. You're in Michigan, and we are going to be sharing some of Jim's expertise. My name is John Leland, by the way. I'm a digital marketing strategist, and I am part of the team at Candida Support to try and get out the great work that these people are doing. I love working with Candida Support because I know that there's a real dedication to helping people. Jim and his family and friends have been dealing with Candida for over 20 years. And about 15 years ago, they found thrush, and then actually have added on to make a more complete solution that we call the 1-2 punch, which is thrush plus candazole. So I'll start out by asking the first question. Before I do that, there is, for everybody who's live on the webinar that registered on the Zoom webinar, not the Facebook Live, you can ask questions. There's a Q&A box. When you mouse over the video, click Q&A and queue up the questions. I've got a bunch of kind of frequently asked questions that I'll ask. We've received a nice number of email questions, which we'll also use, but we would love your live questions in the Q&A box, or if you want to raise your hand and come on video. We had one person courageous enough, so we would love to welcome you to ask questions live. But Jim, so thrush is widely recognized as a Candida solution, treatment, but you all did research and kind of took it to another level with candazole. Why do you have two products in the 1-2 punch? Why does that make sense, and why do you recommend that?
Well, it's because there are two different levels of Candida in the body, two different stages. Candida starts in the gut. It begins down in the bowels, and it grows an ever larger colony. And the larger that colony gets, the more symptoms you have, the more problems that it gives you. And once it starts to permeate the wall of the bowels, leaky gut, it gets into your system. And you start finding it on your skin. You'll have yeast rashes and all different kinds of things. It also, from the gut, comes up into your stomach, up your trachea, and into your mouth, and gives you the white coating of thrush. So we always have used a number of products. Thrush is very particular because it attacks that factory in the gut. It attacks that, and it makes it smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So it takes away the ever continuing source of fresh new Candida cells. But the ones that have gone through your body, you have to deal with them too. And thrush does not go through the body. So what candazole is a combination of enzymes. And these enzymes attack all the different little components that make up the wall of a Candida cell. And that wall is why Candida is so hard to get rid of, and it protects itself. Some of it is even made up of chitin, and chitin is what fleas are made of, and ticks, that little hard shell, cockroaches. That's so hard. So these enzymes dissolve that, and then your body can kill off the Candida that's going through your system.
Wow.
And we used to do that with 3 different products, and it was more complicated. And when I found this enzyme, that's the base enzyme of candazole, which is the one that goes after the chitin, that was a game changer. We took all the enzymes we knew, we put them in with that chitinase, and made one really powerful, simple to take capsule.
So one of the things I know people get confused about is how does this treatment work? I wanted to ask you also about the cleanse process, because the new recovery guide, and I don't want to be cute with people. I actually will put the link right now. You were promised the brand new ebook that Candida Support is coming out with, and I put the link right there if you want to download it. And I'll do even a quick screen share. But you guys have had these kind of questions, for a long time. This will give you, here's a sneak peek at what the cover of the ebook looks like, and that page of the URL that I just put in the chat, and I'll be sure to put that in the YouTube video as well. But why is it the cleanse or detox, rather, the Candida Detox Recovery Guide, rather than just the Candida Recovery Guide?
Well, because a lot of things go on during detox, and some of our attendees may have already begun or have gone through this. And when you kill off the Candida, it releases toxins, and those toxins move through the body. It's like a fast. I mean, if you do a fast, or if you do some sort of body cleanse, you go through a couple of days where you don't feel so good. This is that same kind of thing. Candida makes a lot of problems. Some of the problem is when the actual cell itself dies, that gets flushed out of your body. But also, some of these Candida cells are actively working in your body, attacking heavy metals. One reason that Candida grows in the body is because of the heavy metals that we've accumulated. Mold and fungus, one of the designs by the creator of mold and fungus is they are attracted to toxins, and they will find these toxins and they will digest them. They will eat them and turn them into water or beneficial something. And so our products can sometimes be working on some of this heavy metal and loosen it up as it works on it. And then the Candida is doing that. I'm sorry, the Candida is working on the heavy metals. And when that Candida gets attacked, it dies and the heavy metal gets released. So as that moves through your system, it makes you feel sick. It makes you feel like maybe you've done the wrong thing, and these products are making you worse. But it's a good sign that this stuff is happening, because it means the cleanse is going on. And it comes and goes like a yo-yo.
Kind of hard to predict.
We call it the yo-yo effect, and you never know, because every body is different. But as it comes and goes, when it comes, it gets a little less and a little less and a little less over those months. It can go on between 2 and 5 months, probably.
So what is it that leads into something else that I really think that people need to get a picture of, is what does this process look like? So if you have Candida, and I'll throw another URL in the chat for the severity test that you guys had doctor authored for people to evaluate, but there's like a startup phase where you're taking 3-lac and then Candida. I mean, how does that? I know that there's a kind of combination over time, and that's one of the other complicated things that I know people need help understanding.
Yeah, and it's what we have simplified, because on our auto ship program, we combine the two products, and you can take a simple Candida test on our website, which will help you determine the level of Candida that you have.
And that's the severity test URL that I just put into the chat.
That's the severity test. And that will place you in one of 3 categories. And those categories, as you get placed into that, it will show you immediately what products you need. You get a discount on the products themselves. You get free shipping, and they come at the correct intervals that you're going to need them. So you start out with just some 3-lac, and then you add in the Candizol, but you don't take Candizol all the time. So it comes just once in a while, depending on your level of Candida. And it's all laid out. It's all It's all been researched and personalized to just what you need.
So that severity test, which I just screen shared for a minute there, and the URL that I put in, that's a good way for people to get the right program for them. So we're open to questions. I guess the Q&A box is great for those of you that are here with us live, and thank you very much. I guess I could take a quick look at Facebook Live and see if there are any live questions there. But looks like Facebook is having its own issues. So are there any other frequently asked questions? So part of what we're here for is to celebrate the fact that the ebook is now out, the Candida Detox Recovery Guide. This is a result of your research over the last 15 years. It was, and it still is, an online reference under resources on the CandidaSupport.org website. And then you also had a quite extensive FAQ section, which is also still on the website. But we've combined that into this one downloadable PDF. So that's the URL that I pasted in there, and we'll have it in the YouTube comments, and it's going to become more and more visible on the website and go out to the members of our email list and so forth. So congratulations on getting the ebook done. That's really an exciting resource and something that you're offering to people. Anything else that you want to say about that book and about the recovery guide or the FAQs?
Well, this book is the result of about 20 years of Marty and I struggling with and controlling our Candida. And, you know, for years and years, we tried the diet and we tried all these different things, and herbs and garlic and silver and, you know, all these things. You don't all have to go through that. You don't have to follow in the steps of how do I get out of this? How do I get myself healthy again so that I can enjoy my life? We went through all that, and we are bringing you what we feel are the two best products in this whole world for controlling and managing your Candida. Candida is never really cured. So it's something that needs to be taken very seriously. But once you get it, once you understand how to do it, and especially once you go through that first detox period, you can keep yourself symptom-free for the rest of your life with really very little maintenance. But it does call for some maintenance, and it calls for your attention and to be taken seriously. But all that we've learned is really here in this PDF. And I can see where some people will go, no, I'm not going to do this. I just want to take a pill. I just want to take a pill. I'll take this bottle of pills that I bought at the health food store, and my Candida will be gone. But it doesn't happen that way. It never will happen that way. This book is here out of compassion. It's saying things to you at times that you'd rather not hear. But they're true things, and they're helpful things, and they're uplifting and healthy things, and they will help you live a whole different kind of life. Candida gets into your organs, into all parts of your body, and can drag your body down. Every part of you is a little heavier, is a little worse. Get rid of it. Get that Candida out of your system. Knock it down to bare minimum levels and enjoy your God-given health.
Yeah, so is there anything that you want to say that people don't want to hear other than, I mean, I guess you did say it, but that Candida doesn't get cured, it gets effectively managed. That's what we mean by treatment, right?
There's so many ways that fungus and yeast can hide in a body. You know, I see a tree with mushrooms growing on the side of it. And just think about that. You know, you knock those mushrooms off. But are they gone from that tree? No, they go way deeper into there. And Candida, it can hide, and it can even make spores that can hide deep in tissue, in very odd places that are hard to get at. We can knock 95% of it out, and you'll feel like it's all gone because your symptoms are gone. And that's the point. We can get to that point, but it's never truly gone. And what people don't want to hear sometimes is that it's going to cost them some hundreds of dollars to go through this first period to knock it out. Because we hit it.
And that's the detox, right?
That's right. We hit it very hard with 3-lac and Candisol. But then 4, 5, 6 months down the road, you go to just a small maintenance level, which it's laughingly cheap. And that's what we offer you, is to knock that Candida out of you and then just have the simple, minimal maintenance.
Yeah, and I remember when we started producing videos to try and help explain this to people, the very first video that you did and that you really wanted to do was how to prevent your Candida from coming back, and it was about that maintenance issue.
Yeah.
All right, good. So I'll go to the email questions. Those of you, thank you so much for the people that are here live. And I want to invite you to, again, use that Q&A box or raise your hand if you want to come on live on video. But the Q&A box is really easy to get your video to get your question as the top priority. But I'll start looking at the emails that people have sent in. And the first one actually is about grains and starches. I hear so many mixed reactions about the Candida diet. This is from Sharon. The following are key to eliminate gluten, sugar, all sugars, even fruit. However, I'm confused about which grains are acceptable, which starches are acceptable, or if any. One woman said the best diet is meats, bone broths, etc. Not sure how a person could be happy living on that, especially if you're not a meat eater. Please advise, as I have Candida antibodies. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
I love these kind of questions because that sounded kind of complex, but it's not. It's really one question. Do I have to be on the Candida diet? And the answer is no. Now, if you're already on it and you come to us, we don't want you to get off it because we don't want you to take our products and have that big change of diet to deal with both. But most people are not really on the diet. They're avoiding certain foods. They're maybe not taking sugar and that kind of thing. And in that situation, it's fine. Our products are so good that you do not have to worry about how you eat. Our competition hates for us to say that. They get really mad at us because it's not true for their products. It is true for our products. The only thing we recommend people do is to spend the first couple months, 2 or 3 months, staying away from refined sugars. So that would be like honey, sugar, sodas or any of that kind of stuff.
Any desserts?
Yeah, desserts. Well, yeah, desserts that have that in them. Other than that, a fruit with sweetness to it, strawberries, cherries, apples, all that is fine. It's not going to give you so much sugar that it's going to ruin the benefit of our products. If you were just eating, like drinking 3 Coca-Colas a day, then that might inhibit our products a bit. But if you can go through at least 2-3 months without those kinds of sugars, all that stuff you mentioned, you just go right ahead and eat it. Don't worry about what kind of grain. Don't worry about any of that stuff.
One of the things that he mentioned was like, how can somebody be happy on this? And I know that there's also a story about if you do try and manage your Candida exclusively with diet, it's very easy to kind of go back to square one, right?
Well, yeah, because the diet has to be perfect. And
Well, I
absolutely
want to understand.
perfect.
So in order for the Candida diet to work, it has to be perfect. You get that?
Perfect.
Yeah.
If you eat one bite of a candy bar, one handful of caramel corn, um, any sugar you give it, you revitalize it. Because what you're doing with the Candida diet is starving the yeast cells to death. And to starve them to death, you have to starve them for 6 months. That's how ingrained Candida can be and how stubborn it can be. So if you're doing it with the diet, no carbs, no sugars, no grains, no anything. You do one wrong thing and you start over. You start that 6 months from day one again.
And that's not true with your approach. Then. Your approach is so much easier and straightforward. Yes, in the first couple months, you need to reduce the basic sugars, but not as strictly. And then you have a different kind of a weapon, if you will, against.
That's right. And the Candida diet, you're basically eating greens and meats. And that's not the best diet for you either. That over time, that's not a healthy diet. For a short period of time, fine, but for 6 months, it's not recommended. So,
and this using the 3-lactandazole 1-2 punch, more powerful anyway, right?
Oh yes, by far.
Anything you want to say about that? The power of the 1-2 punch and 3-lac and candazole?
Well, it's just that it's we kind of talked about that already. It hits the gut and it hits the systemic form, and we're after Candida in every place in your body. And these products will do what they're touted to do. They will take care of that Candida. They will manage it. They will beat it down to such a low level you don't have symptoms.
That sounds good to me. Next question from Stephen. Since I am an anxiety sufferer, I want to clarify some of the symptoms I am experiencing. I started with the 3-lac and candazole about a week ago. Could the following symptoms be from Candida and treatment? Feelings of unreality, fever in the night, irritability and confusion, can hardly focus to read, severe restlessness, burning in muscles and muscle weakness, fluid in my eyes. If so, do these abate over time? Thank you, Stephen.
Partly that question asks me to diagnose a whole bunch of maladies, and I can't do that because I'm not a doctor. I'm not that kind of a scientist. I'm a subjective scientist. Without a laboratory, we watched our own bodies, and in dealing with tens of thousands of customers over 15 years, we've heard how they come to us and how their life changes as they take these products. So many of those symptoms can be the result of Candida, but they also can be the result of other things. Most people come to us after they've gone to a number of doctors. You're trying to get better. You go to the doctor. The doctor goes, nothing wrong with you, or they find this or they find that, but they're not finding the cause of your symptoms. And you come to us and you know that your symptoms do not have to do with all these other things because the doctor just said you don't have any problems. At that point, you can be more sure that those symptoms are coming from Candida. And then the free test that we have on our website, the Candida severity test, and a couple other tests that were written by Candida doctors, will give you a good idea whether you have Candida or not. And then it all becomes more clear. After that, you will find over a few months, once you start our program, how many of those symptoms are related to Candida.
Is
And,
it, is,
even if you have another malady, say you have something else going on, Candida will make that worse. Candida is on top of anything else you got going on. So
aggravating existing conditions?
that's right. Even if you have a genetic weakness, there's some weakness to your body. Maybe your stomach is not good, or maybe your joints hurt or something like that. Candida will make all that stuff worse. So when you sweep the Candida out, you can take a better look at what your body is really going through.
And if associated, is it possible that the increased aggravation, if you will, and the symptoms that he described are a function of detox? Because he said he was just getting started with the 3-lac and so forth.
That is possible. The symptoms that you have will often get worse. So, and most people have a number of different symptoms. So they, at first, I think most people go, Marty and I did this. We were like dancing in the kitchen. We couldn't believe how we felt. And after all the years of trying everything else, it was just simply amazing to us. But then those things came back. And at that time, we didn't know about the yo-yo effect, so we had to kind of go through all that. But
good. Here, Stephen, I have one more follow-up question, which is, he said, I'm a recent customer starting my first couple of weeks of Candizolve and 3-lac. It seems like I'm actually having an excessive amount of yeast on my tongue since starting the program. I scrape it off with a tongue scraper from my dentist. Is this a normal reaction?
I like this because one of the beauties of 3-lac is that it comes in a powder. And for people with thrush, we recommend that you take your 3-lac when you're done eating and drinking for a while, put the 3-lac in your mouth, drink some water, swish that all around, and then swallow. A lot of that 3-lac is going to stay right in your mouth. And as those dormant bacteria come to life, because when you take probiotics, all that stuff is sort of a freeze-dried thing. They come to life once they enter your body. And it comes to life right in your mouth and right on your tongue and all the way down your throat and your esophagus and into your stomach. And it coats that, and all that. If you have thrush in your mouth, you have it all the way down. So this 3-lac is going right to the source, and it's starting to work on that. Plus, it'll always also end up in your gut because it's not digested by the stomach acids, and it will attack, after it's done doing this, it will attack the Candida in your gut. It's a beautiful powder. It's just wonderful stuff.
Interesting. So I want to invite people. We've only got about 30 more minutes of Jim's time available. If you're live with us on the web, thanks for being here, and please use that Q&A box down at the bottom. Just mouse over the video and you'll see the Q&A box. We'll give those questions priority, or raise your hand and we're happy to have you on live video to share your question and put a face to it. I love that the most, but however you want to do it. Otherwise, we did get a bunch of emails of people who registered, and so we're going to respond to those. Blossom asks, I have a yeast infection ever since my son was born in 2011. I spent time and money on doctor after doctor. At this point, I'm pretty sure it's systemic. I've tried everything. I'm 38-year-old female, and it's been 6 years. I looked on the site to purchase the 2 products for extensive yeast infection along with the digestive enzymes. My question is there anything additional I need to purchase, eat, or not eat?
I love this question from Blossom. She is experiencing what many postpartum women experience. For some reason, maybe that because they've just gone through such a trauma of giving birth and through such stress, they come out the other side with Candida. I mean, I got mine after my diverticulitis, and that kept me in bed for most of a summer. I was so sick. And when I came out of that, I had Candida. And when your body gets into a lot of stress, Candida can begin, that overgrowth can begin. So she's asking some of those basic questions, like what do I have to eat? What can I drink and all that kind of stuff. Our products are really enough. We do have other products on our website, and some of them are the products that we used to use instead of Candisol. Like we had digestive enzymes, and we had oxygen drops, and these different things to help make your body into an uncomfortable environment for yeast. Somewhat effective, but not nearly as effective as the Candisol that we have right now. But it's funny, she picked out the digestive enzymes because that's maybe my favorite product of the other ones that we have, because Candida can really mess with your digestion. You either get the bloating or you just have indigestion. And when I started taking those digestive enzymes, my stomach started rumbling again. And it's like, wow, it was like, it had come alive. So I found them very helpful. But you don't have to take those. And not everybody has that stomach problem. And even if you do have bloating, it's probably just the Candida. So the 3-lac over a fairly short amount of time, weeks or a month or two at the most, should get rid of that bloating. So she doesn't really have to do anything but the 1-2 punch. That's why we call it that. And we don't just try to upsell and sell more and all that. We've actually made it cheaper. This is cheaper than what we used to have, and it works better.
3-lac and Candisol, the 1-2 punch. All right, somebody who wants to remain anonymous because she's writing about a sensitive area, private area. I know someone who has a patch of pubic hair missing and was told by a Russian doctor that it was from yeast issues. Have you ever heard of this as a side effect of Candida? And if you have heard of people regaining their hair have you heard of people regaining their hair in balded spots? There. And we all know where there is.
Yes, down there. I don't want to contradict the Russian doctor, but I don't have to. He may be right on. I mean, it is possible. A lot of people lose their hair when they get Candida. I mean, it starts thinning, it starts falling out. Now, so that is, I think, one of the possible symptoms of Candida, especially when it goes systemic. The only problem is one of the symptoms isn't that sometimes it regrows your hair. So that hasn't worked for me, and it hasn't worked for anybody. But we've gotten emails from a lot of people who said that their hair was falling out. And once you beat that Candida down, that process will stop unless it's a genetic thing like it was for moi.
Okay, good. So again, those of you who are here live, we would love to have your live questions. We just have one more email question, and then we have the FAQs, which are, many that are in the ebook that you've also got the URL in the chat. So this is another mail, and by the way, there are great pages on CandidaSupport.org about male symptoms of Candida and female symptoms of Candida, since we're talking about down there. But anyway, so Jack is having outpatient laser surgery for prostate on August 31st. Good luck with that, John. Jack, I hope it really goes well. He wants to know, do I stop taking both products while on antibiotics or just one? Starting the program because of mouth thrush, from taking antibiotics for 8 months because of prostate epididymitis. You know that word? Anyway, we're not doctors, and we say that all the time, but maybe we haven't said it here. So we're sharing the experience of Jim and Marty and the rest of the Candida team in fighting their own Candida and the research that they've done over 20 years to find these products, Thrilac and Candizolve, as the 1-2 punch, kind of the best solution that they know of and that we know of to really address it. Anyway, he says that the infection in his mouth is now better, but he has itching on the genitals, no rash, just itching. Is this a side effect of treatment or just yeast? Treating with nystatin, Nystatin, nystatin powder.
Nystatin.
Have it, enzema, how do you say it? I'm sorry, I should know these words better. Down there, but could be from the hot weather. Swimming dermatologist treats with Primazone lotion, but now just using the powder. Yeah. Sorry if this is too much information, but
so he's under a doctor's regimen right now, and he's not only taking antibiotics, but he's been taking nystatin, which is an antifungal. And we never recommend those. We've gotten, I would say, tens of thousands of emails over all these years from people who are on those products. And the products, they can help kill off the fungus in your body, but they don't get at everything. They don't kill the factory in the gut. And everybody, to a person, says, I took that for 2 months or 3 months, and when I stopped, everything came back. Now, if you stop even our products completely, your Candida will come back, to be fair. However, our products aren't going to destroy your liver like nystatin would, or any of the other antifungals. They're all very, very hard on your liver. You can't
that might destroy might be, I'll do a medical caution here. It's not going to necessarily destroy your liver, but it might do harm to your liver.
Do some harm to your liver, yes. I can get a little worked up about the pharmaceuticals. We try to stay away from them as much as possible and always look for a natural product that can do the same thing. And, if we have to, we'll take them. There have been times in the last year when I've had to. But the beginning part of his question, it was about how to take antibiotics with our products. Because when he gets his surgery, he will be on antibiotics. There's a couple of things. Antibiotics will kill Thrilac. It will kill Thrilac. So you don't want to take them together. If someone hadn't started our program, I would tell them to wait until the antibiotics are done, because then the Thrilac's going to be more effective. All of it will live for the lifespan it's supposed to live. But if you're in the middle of our program and you find you've got to have surgery, or you're getting a molar taken out and the dentist wants you on antibiotics, just take them as far away from the Thrilac as you can. So if some antibiotics you can take once a day, some you have to take all day long. And I don't know if you can really take Thrilac if you're taking antibiotics all day long. I think I would just put a halt on our program until you're done. But I would say if you're taking amoxicillin or something where you've got one big fat tablet a day, say you take that in the morning, then before you go to bed, take your Thrilac, swish it around your mouth, and go to bed. And that will go down, it'll work, it'll do its thing, it'll have a chance to do its work until the next antibiotic comes.
That's really great practical information. That's new to me, and that's very practical, because there are times where people have to take antibiotics. So last invitation here for those of you live, if you want to ask questions. I have a good one here out of the FAQs, and again, we're celebrating the launch of the new PDF ebook that's got the whole detox guide and the Detox Recovery Guide, as well as all the FAQs in it. It'll be on the website shortly. It'll be on the Facebook page shortly. And the link is here. You'll also, because those of you who registered, you'll also get the link to download the book in our follow-up email with the recording. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
People used to write us sometimes and say that either that they had printed off the Candida Recovery Guide from their computer so that they could have it in, and wouldn't have to go online, or they asked us if there was some way where we could send it to them or something. And that's this book is so beautiful because of that. They can take it, they can download it to their computer, and it's right there. They don't have to have internet access or anything else. They can print it if they want very easily from a PDF. So we're really happy to
read it on a tablet. You can also email PDFs to your Kindle if you're a Kindle reader and read it on your Kindle that way. And while we're at it, I mean, we love hearing from you all and hearing how we can be of service and help you in your Candida recovery. What works for you? I mean, if you want, for example, a Kindle version of this book to come out, we'd love to hear about that. Other kinds of programs, questions, suggestions, please, we'd love to hear from you. And there's a great contact form just on candidasupport.org where we'll respond to every inquiry, every question gets answered. We're here for you. So
we are. We stay with you this whole time. Betsy does most of that work, and she's been doing it for many, many years, and she's so good at it, and compassionate and intelligent, and she hears your questions. She hears what you're writing to her, and she answers completely. More than anything else, this is what we offer you. Not only the best products, but we're with you the whole time. We want you to know that. We really are with you. We've been doing this online for 15, almost 16 years now. And our customer support has just always been that way. It's like you're part of our family, and we want to help you. We want to be with you, and we will show you. And those times when you want to quit, it's good to have somebody there who says, here's why you don't want to do that. Here's why what you're going through is normal, why it's okay. It's even beneficial. All of that, it's priceless.
Great answer. I'm making a mental note. I think we should take that little video clip, put it on the contact page. That was well said, Jim. And I know that commitment is very authentic. All right, here's a frequently asked question that I think I'm interested in the answer to, which is, how is Candida spread within families? I think you even have some personal experience with that, don't you?
Yeah.
So how does Candida spread inside of a family?
Well, if you are really healthy and somebody else in your family has Candida,
look at the lens.
You probably won't get it. You probably won't get it. Your body has to be ripe for Candida for you to get it.
What do you mean by ripe?
Well, antibiotics, for instance, a whole bunch of antibiotics over a certain amount of time kills off all your beneficial bacteria. There's a certain balance in your bowels between beneficial yeast and beneficial bacteria. And when you kill off all the bacteria, the yeast grows. It gets bigger and bigger. And not only that, but it morphs. It changes and becomes a different kind of yeast, which is what Candida is.
So how does it spread in a family?
So if your gut is ready to get Candida.
Immune system is a factor as well, right?
And say your wife has Candida and you're kissing her, and you pick up some of that yeast, you pick up some of that in the saliva, but if you're healthy, it's not going to take root. Your beneficial bacteria here will kill it and will keep a balance so that it cannot grow and become really strong. And but it's just that, and God, you get a little child getting on you and kissing you all over your face and, putting their hands in their mouths and sticking their hand in your mouth. I mean, all these ways, because you're intimate with these people, you're close to these people. And it depends on you. So if you are ripe, if you are ready, Marty had Candida for years, and I never had it.
And Marty's your wife.
Marty is my wife. And when I got diverticulitis and I got so weak, and I was so weak, I came out of that with Candida, just like that.
So you didn't get it for a long time, but then when your immune system was really low, you did.
Yep.
Got it. What about Candida yeast and sex?
Candida yeast and sex, it's kind of the same story. Women, so often, their first symptom of Candida is a vaginal yeast infection. And, there are all these creams and topical things to take. And then this is when the doctors want to give you nystatin and the antifungals. But if the man is weakened in some way, he can pick that up on his genitals, and it can work its way up the urethra inside his body. It's pernicious, it can be it's a sneaky darn thing. You've seen mildew and mold grow on stuff, and it just spreads. Again, if you're healthy, it probably won't matter. But depending on how much of it you're getting, if a man has it on his genitals, which is every bit as possible, and it shows up as sores and lesions and it can be pretty ugly. And both male and female can have a milky white discharge that just oozes out at times.
Common sense would say that would call for abstinence.
That would call.
I'm stating the obvious.
Stating the obvious.
Sometimes the obvious is good to say.
I have a 100-year-old dictionary, and there's a malady in there called the flor alba, and it means the white flow in Latin, and it shows that people had Candida back then too. It's not just antibiotics. People get sick enough, they live in a home that's full of mildew and mold and stuff, they could have gotten it. So it's been around a long time, but it can go either way. A man can give it to a woman can give it to a man, in all the ways imaginable through sex.
Cool. Well, so last call for live questions. I'm going to put on the screen share for a second just to kind of remind people about the resources. So this is CandidaSupport.org homepage, and right here, it's also under resources, the severity test. But this is a great entry point to go to the severity test on the CandidaSupport.org website. And right down here is this simple test. It's like a dozen yes or maybe not even a dozen yes or no questions. And when you do that and answer the questions, calculate your severity, it will show you the right treatment for you and give you the right protocol. Likewise, everybody is going to have access to the free ebook that we've been talking about. We're so excited to launch it and make it available with the full Detox Recovery Guide and the full set of FAQs. So those are great resources we'll continue to make available, and we do encourage you to continue to ask your questions and send them in through the website. I guess I can click back over there. I'm having a little issue here with my screen sharing. There we go. So just go on the website and right up here, contact us for personal support. And boom, you get the contact us page. There's Betsy right there.
Betsy.
She's a real person. And we're delighted to answer your questions. Very simple form. And we want to hear from you. We want your suggestions. We want your questions and so forth. Anything else that we should have covered, Jim, that we didn't? We're not seeing the live questions. Again, people are bashful. We got a bunch of people watching live, and we're grateful that you're here, and it's fine to just listen, but we're last call on your questions. If you have one that's burning, grab that Q&A box.
Read some more questions.
Off of the FAQ?
Those are good questions. Those are
yeah, I've been picking them up. And yeah,
they're there because they are frequently asked questions. So they're very good for people who are attending.
Okay, what about safety then? Are there situations where it's not safe to take 3-lac or Candizolve? For example, while you're pregnant, is that an issue?
It is an issue. We don't want, because 3-lac and Candizolve create a detox, a Herxheimer effect in your body, and it releases the poisons that are inside you, and they go through your system and get flushed out. If you're pregnant, you really don't want to have that process going on because it goes through the baby. So, and we even caution with lactating mothers and breastfeeding and stuff, better to get that in the past.
What about, are there other circumstances where the products aren't safe?
There really aren't. I would just say that the other part of safety is that 3-lac is tested. There's a scientific test on our website if you want to go there and find that. It's also checked by the FDA? Yeah, FDA. When it comes into port, because it comes from Japan into California, and the FDA can stop a shipment whenever they want, and they often do, and they take out the product, they open up and they test it. And it's always passed that. It's always come into the country. There are people online who say that some of the ingredients in there are harmful and that kind of thing, and they're not at all. It's been sold here in the States since 2002. It's been sold in Japan 10 years before that.
This is 3-lac now you're talking about, right?
This is 3-lac.
Right.
Yeah. And the Candizolve, that is put together at Global Health Tracks' own facility. And they have a government regulated facility there with all the licensing and all the cleanliness and all the scientific method. And Candizolve is a grouping of different enzymes, and perfectly safe.
Specifically to take systemic. What about one of the other frequently asked questions is, I'm lactose intolerant. Can I take 3-lac?
Yes. There is the tiniest bit of, I can't think of the word right now. It's not lactose, but it's something that does come from dairy. But we've dealt with this over 15 years, and people have come to us who are lactose intolerant, and we said, look, we don't think that there's enough in there that it'll bring up a problem for you. You take it. If you have any problems, we'll refund your money and all that. And consistently, people do not have problems with that.
Great. You've mentioned the thrush, which I guess is the oral thrush.
Yes.
A couple times, but one of the FAQs is what is oral thrush? A lot of people might not be exactly familiar with that.
Yeah. Well, when the Candida begins in the gut, and if it grows big enough, it will start to spread, and it can spread down and come out the anus and give you a rash and all kinds of trouble on that end. But it also can slowly move up into your stomach, which is the bloating and the indigestion. And then from there, it can come up your esophagus and come in up your throat into your mouth. And yeast is white. Yeast, you see it on a wild grape, that white coating, or on fruit, a plum, a dark plum. You can see, some people rub it off with their hands. That's how people started making wine. You know, they had grapes, they all fell in a big crevice, and the yeast that's on those grapes was enough to ferment the grapes and make wine. So that's a yeast. That's what yeast looks like. And by the time it gets up to your mouth, you've had it a long time and you've got problems. And so it can get on the tongue. I've seen it come out onto the lips.
Interesting. So I'm going to turn on the screen sharing again real quick, just because there's a visual reference. But the question is actually about the saliva test. So under resources on the CandidaSupport.org, we've not only got our severity test, which is the best way to find the right mix of the 1-2 punch for you, but a bunch of other free tests and other things. We have, oh yeah, I see, here's the list, right. So the severity test, the Candida, and what about the saliva test? That's the FAQ that I was pointing to. Is that just if you have thrush, or is the saliva test something you recommend or not?
Well, we do recommend it, but we don't emphasize it. It's probably, of all our tests, it's the least scientific. And yet over all these years, we find that it's generally correct. That if you wake up in the morning, you've got a glass of water there by your bed, half glass, say, and you work up some spit before you do anything else and spit it into the top of that glass. If your spit just floats on the top, you don't have Candida. And if you do have Candida, you'll see strings start to trickle down into that glass of water. It's kind of gross to see. And in the end, sometimes it'll sit on the bottom. But that, along with 3 other tests that we have on our website, are all great indicators. You know, you can take all 4 of them if you want and be completely sure whether you have Candida or not.
So you recommend that severity test as a primary one. What's the story behind that, and why did you develop your own severity test when things like the saliva test are available?
Well, the other tests that we have on the site, 2 of them are written by Dr. Crook. And Dr. Crook was the second medical doctor to write a book about Candida. And 2 of the tests we have are his tests. We had them JavaScripted and they're interactive. So boom, 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 you take the tests and they'll give you a score.
The severity test is one of those, right?
The severity test is not one of those. The severity test was written by a different doctor who had a clinic where he treated people with Candida. And he treated people for years. And he saw our website, thought, okay, I'm going to try some of this 3-lac. And it blew his mind. And he ordered a whole bunch of it, put it in his clinic, started testing it, started using it, and found it so many times more effective than what he was using. So he was familiar with Dr. Crook and the other Candida doctors that had come decades before him. He wrote his own Candida severity test so that he could help diagnose his patients who came into the clinic. He would have him take this test, and then he'd know how to treat them, how much product to give them, and for how long.
Great. All right. Well, so we recommend that. We're at our hour here. And God, Jim, thank you so much. This has been so informative. And obviously the expertise and the research that you and the team and the family have been doing is bearing a lot of fruit. And thank you for letting me be part of bringing this new ebook and PDF resource out to people. We'll link to how to download that in the description in YouTube and on the Facebook page and all of that. I'll go put it up on the live page right now. And anybody that registered, thank you again for being here. Wonderful to have all of you here live, and everybody else will get the recording and have an opportunity to watch it then.
I love to talk Candida, so I'm really glad that you came. And I hope you see that we take it seriously and that we have studied it for a long time and are ready to help you get better. Thanks.